Lenskart started in 2010, and I'm sure we all have experienced or at least heard of how the company revolutionized the eyewear market with an online portal. Buyers try over 5,000 frames to pick from 45 lenses, a lens options supported by innovation around digital trials and how a network of over 650 stores. Lenskart now serves over 100,000 customers a month and the largest eyewear player today in the Indian market. CaratLane started in 2008 and was one of the first companies to go online on jewelry, pure play jewelry online, with a CAGR of 75% for the last 6 years and now over close to 100 stores. And a partnership with Tanishq, CaratLane is a retailer that we have all heard of, a shop with, and will hear more of in the coming years. So one has heard a lot about online portals, home delivery, tablet-based, in-store cataloging, searches, and purchase complete omni-channel experience. There's a lot of common between these two retailers, and have leveraged technology to build really high growth and a scalable retail model. So this is Sandeep Kulali here, the business head at Boka, and today I have with me Avnish Anand, co-founder and digital head of CaratLane, and Oliver Kay, the CEO of Lenskart. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to get deeper behind some of the technology decisions that these companies have taken and get some practical insights and actionable ideas from their experiences in building their businesses, which I'm sure will help all the participants. So welcome Avnish and Oliver. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah, so Avnish, I'll start with you. Apart from handling e-commerce, you wear multiple hats at CaratLane, including customer experience, sales, product, and a lot more. Can you share some practical insights with some of the technology decisions that you have taken along your journey and that you think can be useful for other retailers getting onto this bandwagon at the moment?
Okay. Sandeep, I think one of the most important things in CaratLane, which has helped us a lot, is to make sure that everybody is involved in the business. Typically, you have a lot of demarcations, right? That the tech person or the product people are kind of disconnected with the business and they have, like a feature focus. Instead of that, in our company, we try and work with a problem focus, even for tech and product teams, so that all decisions then for all tech development and all feature development is done based on the problems. And I can tell you that not just now, but always that's helped us the most. Because rather than trying to build features which are, a lot of me too, because Amazon has it or Flipkart has it, we build features based on the problem which you are seeing. And because all the tech and product teams are also involved on the problem, they have a very good sense of what the problem is and what kind of solution will help us solve it and what the impact will be. The second thing is, and this is funny because I get asked this question a lot about how did you decide to do omni-channel? We didn't do omni-channel. We were just focused on solving the conversion problem. And omni-channel and all these other multiple channels just emerged from trying to solve that problem. And, this is the underlying philosophy for all decision making, to make sure that everybody is connected to the business. And we just focus on the conversion problem. And that leads to all the decisions which get made, and it's worked so far.
Super, man. Both very sensible ideas and makes a lot of sense. You look at the two statements you made, 2 points. We'll come back to them. Oliver, anything from your side you'd like to throw some insights?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question. So actually, the insight that I just want to bring up is what we did from a COVID point of view. So as soon as COVID happened, we basically, within 3 or 4 days of the lockdown, we'd already developed an internal app that allowed all of our staff, our 2,000 staff sitting at home, to basically have on their mobile phones with full data protection, an app which gave our staff all of our consumer data. So all of our consumers who hadn't bought from us for the last 6 months, we gave them access to be sitting at home, and we turned 2,000 people over a 4 to 5 day period via training into a full telesales operational team. And by doing that, we managed to have a great level of sales income despite a lockdown happening. So I think I'm using this as an example as to how fast a company like Lenskart can react. COVID happened. It was unexpected in terms of the full lockdown, but with our own internal technology team, we realized we couldn't not be continuously thinking about our customers, and we knew that they're, particularly being an essential product, that we had a demand out there, and therefore we turned our as I said, our staff into telesales, and they had absolutely everything available at their hands, including the customer's buying history, whether they were part of our loyalty membership program. And even to this day, we're still continuing that whole telesales channel. So for us, actually what COVID's helped us is create an additional sales channel for us. So I think this is how we really kind of used tech in the last few months to pull our business round through a very difficult, challenging time, but most importantly to using tech at its cutting edge to continue to focus on our customers.
That's amazing, Oliver. It's a phenomenal response mechanism to a challenge like COVID, which you managed so beautifully. So, Oliver, the next question is to address to you, which will come back to Avnish too. The online portal technology to enable digital trials have been very clear in your contribution driving growth for Lenskart and scale. And Lenskart, given this massive brick and mortar network, investments in technology like ERP, the POS, the CRM, which are your legacy systems, which drive your businesses. Other than these, which are other technology investments or internal innovation and technology have you seen playing a role in building resilience and a growth platform for Lenskart?
Yeah, good question. So I think there's a couple of things. So again, I think I'm just going to talk again in the last few months because I think it's really relevant. I think what COVID has taught us more than anything is this has been a chance for us to react faster than we've ever reacted before. So for us, it's been like a catalyst of changing customer behavior and understanding how we can work differently in the situation that we're currently facing. And I think there's two key things to bring out, which I think has played a pivotal role for our online business over the last few months. The first is we did a huge piece of work and a launch around AR. In the sense that what we did, and I think we were the first in India to do so, is we have now enabled a consumer to take a photograph from their mobile phone or from obviously their computer. And as soon as they've got that photograph, it's a live feed where there is measurements of their face being taken. And immediately we start sharing suggested frames from an AR point of view, which the consumer can basically, scroll through. And as soon as they touch the frame that they like, immediately it goes onto their face. So I think it's things like that we've been developing. And we actually did that along with Apple. Apple was supporting us in that, which again, we were one of the first to work with Apple on this. These are the kind of technologies that we've been doing to, drive growth through this period. And this is actually now proving to be a very successful way that customers are buying what is traditionally quite a challenging product to buy online. Because obviously a lot of, traditionally before Lenskart came along, customers were very used to going to a shop to buy glasses. It's a very personal choice considering it goes onto your face, and obviously it's a very personal choice. But I think given this kind of augmented reality that we've introduced, as well as the fact that we've got this incredibly sophisticated measurement system that's taking thousands of measurements of your face at any one time, we've really been able to see a really big increase in our sales online through this development that we've recently done.
Fantastic. Whatever, this amazing use of technology. And I guess you must, to a certain extent, thank COVID for innovating so brilliantly in terms of... I
do honestly think, not that none of us ever wanted this to come along, that's for sure. But I do think that what's happened in the organization, from our distribution through to our store network, through to our online capability, I think everybody has ended up working incredibly hard, but has had the time and the space to probably work on more strategic projects that will have a longer term benefit to the organization going forward.
Absolutely. That's a brilliant thought process, because that's what people have used this time so effectively in making these changes, dramatic changes in their business model and working style. Avnish, would you like to add some of your insights into this piece?
So actually, I think there are a lot of applications, Sandeep, which everybody kind of tends to focus on the applications which consumers see, and there's a lot of, I would say, very cutting edge work which gets done over here. I think a lot of work and equally important work for the business gets done, which is not visible to the customer, which is a lot of internal applications. So Oliver touched upon the internal tool which they develop for customers, for the sales teams. We also have something like that. And during COVID, as we have encountered new and new use cases, we have enhanced that significantly to make it more effective for everybody. Even like for the first few months, even our store teams were sitting at home because the shops were closed, and they were also calling from home. So we made a lot of changes to that to ensure that they were also able to manage this calling activity and manage their customers from home using a tool which they were not so comfortable with. Similarly, the hardest part in a situation like this is all the operational activities, right? Supply chain, logistics, coordination with post sales and customer experience teams, right? Which have to be physically present and work together to be effective. But unfortunately, that was not possible. So in a situation like this, a lot of internal applications had to be enhanced, which just allow better communication, tracking of data between internal teams. Just like you have an external NPS, we have an internal NPS as well, which in a way affects the external NPS, right? Because the front-facing guys need to be supported by the internal teams to deliver a better experience. So we have done a lot of work on that. That the internal NPS, the internal CSAT also kept on par with the customer NPS in spite of all the challenges which the operational teams faced. And then, as you know, customers don't realize this, a lot of other people don't realize this, that the biggest problem in this time has also been availability of inventory, especially in our case where we have a distributed model where all our stores work as warehouses and a lot of them were closed. So inventory is not available, factories are closed. And in all of these cases, making sure that the inventory information was correctly available for everybody to ensure that no delays happened. Customers could actually see what they could get when. In spite, every day the situation was changing, right? One day you have a lockdown, the next day it opens, then the mall closes. So making sure that we kept pace with it and the customer experience as well as the distribution and logistics was not affected, I think was one area where technology played a big role in internal management of your services and your processes.
Yeah, I guess you're right in both cases, because whatever resources you have to apply them to the maximum possible extent, so get the best return from that in this current environments. Surely, the next question I think is both Lenskart and Carolyn have done some amazing work in customer experience, especially in digital context, and now thereafter in your brick and mortar, in your omni-channel model also. So are there any nuances about customer profiling, buying behavior, or pre and post? You're a digitally native company, so therefore you have seen only the digital customer first, and now you're seeing the physical brick and mortar customer. But have you seen a difference in the behavior on the profile of customers who shop online and buy online, or shop online and buy offline, or any such nuances that today's business people who are entering this business of omni-channel need to be aware of and take cognizance of? Any inputs? You can start with Avnish and then you come to Oliver.
Sandeep, one thing which I've seen is that actually the customer is often the same, just that their journeys differ. And I see that rather than the difference occurring because of the customer per se, in our case at least, the difference happens more based on the use case, that current requirement. So, if there's a person who he might be the most digitally native customer, he might be very, very comfortable buying online. But if he wants a piece of jewelry today, he has no choice but to go to a store, because we do not have a system where we can deliver the product on the same day. But you can obviously go to the store and pick it up. And men are men, right? They forget all the time. So we have enough cases where it's like today, tomorrow kind of situation. They want the jewelry to be picked up on the same day. And they also want to make sure that they know where it is, which store. They don't want to be running around Delhi, right, from one store to the other. And that's where technology also helps. And the customer's life is made easy because he knows where to go and the journey is simplified for this kind of case. But the same person, if he was buying a necklace for his wife, and he had to make sure that he saw it properly, he might have called for a try at home. But if he was, ordering a kid's jewelry for somebody and getting it delivered to some other place, he might have just gone online and bought it very easily. So what I have seen is that we often try and segment them as online and offline customers. But more than a customer being online and online, it depends on what their current requirement is and what is the product which they're trying to buy. And accordingly, I think your systems need to personalize the experience for them. The second thing is that we see that even if, all our retail customers also, almost everybody starts their journey online, right? Because it's easier to browse. So therefore, you also need to break the whole funnel into multiple parts and treat each of them differently. So there's less differentiation at the browsing stage. But once people start to trial the product, the way they want delivery of the product, the way they want to pay for the product, that's where a lot of differences happen. And that's where you need to create multiple options depending on what the customer's requirement is.
Makes sense. Oliver?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just add. So I think there's a few key things. I mean, to buy a pair of prescription glasses online is not an easy thing to do. And it can be complicated. So I think one of the most important things we've tried to do is to make the journey incredibly simple. Every pair of prescription glasses is obviously bespoke because the frame and then the specific lens power is individual for every single person. So the journey or for us, we've spent an enormous amount of time trying to make it simple. And what I mean by that is 3 or 4 key things. The first is, from an online point of view, we have a huge amount of knowledge sharing. So we've got GIF videos, we've got normal videos, we've got a huge amount of words around the product, around the quality of the product, around how it looks, how it fits, etc. So in terms of education online, particularly to buy such a complicated product, is very, very important. I think, and the other key thing is obviously visualization. In terms of, we have many photographs of many different angles of the same product. I think the second key thing, which I think you find with most retailers now, and I think Amazon kind of paved the way for everybody, is just around the simplicity of trying to find the right product for you as quickly as possible and in as few clicks as possible. So we have done a huge amount of work using AI, machine learning, recommendations. So, we track what you look at, how long you look at it, and we pull this all together. So if you're a repeat customer, the way your wish list, the way your products come online is very sophisticated so that we are really picking up from your last journey of how long you spent looking at what product, what type of product, what type of lens. So we make the journey for you as quickly as possible with all of our AI behind it. And I think the other key one, which has been really important for us, is the confidence that customers have, because still there's many customers who have never bought spectacles online before. So it's a first time purchase. And naturally, when it comes with a bespoke product, you're worried about, are you going to get the right thing? So one of the things that we've done, and we do it from an omni-channel point of view, but it's really kind of pushed a bit online to give customer confidence, is we have a 14-day no quibble refund policy. So if you don't like what you've received, you don't like the shape, you don't like the look, you don't like the lens, whatever you don't like, you just press a button saying, I don't like it, and somebody comes and picks it up. Which I think has really helped Lenskart get to where it's got to, because it means for any native consumer who's buying glasses for the first time, they have full confidence that if they don't like it or it doesn't work, they can return it and get a full refund however they paid for it. So I think it's those kind of flexible models. And we actually have the same model in store as well from a consistency point of view, but particularly online, where many companies who have bespoke, customized product don't offer that because they're saying we're spending the cost to make that specifically for you. We've actually done the reverse, which is saying, we know it's customized, we don't care, we want you to be happy. So if you're not happy, exchange it or return it within 14 days, no problem. And I think that's really helped us get to where we've got to in terms of the strength of our website.
Super, Oliver. But just one question only for your perspective. Like you had the need state basis, the journey of the consumer in jewelry, can understand, give to a just further a distant relative to buy a small item online, be gifted away, or if you're buying a big piece of iPhone, I would like to do a try at home and then take an appointment in the store and stuff like that. So there is a need-based segmentation one can see. Is there something like that in the eyewear business, in the sense that the guy who's traditionally was shopping in the mom and pop eyewear stores at one kind, people who buy from Lenskart today, are they a different profile of consumers? They are more in your space of, quick access to my lens, which is a need of my eyes. I don't have fashion statement, but more a need of my eye to take care of my eyes, and I need a good frame and I need a good lens, so as fast as possible. Is there a difference in the consumer profile that Lenskart is in?
I think from an overall point of view, I think that generally Lenskart is catering towards the probably more value end of the market, but certainly the more fashion conscious and younger shopper. So if you look at our range, and in fact, if you look at our stores, if you look at our website, it's not like your traditional eyeglass company in India or globally. It's young, it's funky, the music is young, the display is very bright and quirky. So I think by definition, where we've always tried to attract is that slightly younger consumer who is willing to take a bit more of a risk, but is also value conscious, because I think we've got, probably the largest collection of product at the best price in the market.
That makes sense. So the benefit of the viewers and participants, just want to make a statement. This series of webinar that we are holding is part of the Lessons from the Ground series that we put together from VUCA to help participants to get first-hand insight into practical real-life solutions to problems that businesses are facing today, not only in the COVID time, but post-COVID, pre-COVID. And I'm hopeful that this kind of a series would help you all. And this data is available. You can get this video is available for you to see in the future whenever you want to check out the content of this program. And also on behalf of the gentleman here, just a personal disclaimer that these are views of the gentleman here, may not be part of the company, but it's the view of the participants here for the show benefits and their experience speaking to all of us here in today's session. I'll come to the last question for both of you, that, what do you see next to a new wave of technology? We have seen many of these, you mentioned, refer to them as AR, VR, AI, machine learning, apps-based technology, which both of you have used. So a lot of jargon in the air, people talking about, the use. Which of these do you see are real life, mass implementable and imminent technology which you see, which will yield results for corporates in the coming couple of years' time? So are there such tools or technology which you think is going to come alive in large numbers? Because AR, VR, one has heard for quite some time. And you still hear pieces and bits of usages in so many places. Especially I saw some technologies in the World Retail Congress in Paris some 6 years back, especially in the apparel business and the footwear designing, make it yourself shoes in Adidas and stuff like that. But one has not seen the light of day of those technology being used. So just in that context, do you see any, in your senses, any technology which will come alive in large scale for customer benefit next few years? Oliver, you can start with you and come to Avnish.
Yeah, I think I've touched on it actually, but I think our biggest one still is the whole AR. We're doing a huge amount of AI. Everything that we're touching at the moment is going to have an AI side to it, and our learning around AI is getting more sophisticated by the day. But particularly for our online consumer, the most important thing, because of the product we're selling, is to have that customer confidence and to see that product on their face. So from us, and we've already obviously launched AR recently, for us, it's now a big learning curve. And how we're using that information as well is interesting because, unlike many apps where customers aren't happy to give their facial recognition, obviously to buy glasses, you have to, if you want to use the AR app and see how the glasses look in you. So there's an enormous amount of data that's now coming in terms of, customer shapes and shape sizes and faces. And that's obviously, helping us buy better, because we're utilizing that information to make sure that our range is even more, matches our consumer needs even stronger. So I think that puts us in a very unique position. But for us, the AR isn't now just online. We've only just recently launched AR in store as well. So even if you're in store and you can't find the product you're looking for, we're now introducing AR machines where you can have a similar product, or you can go to the website and you can see the AR. You can go and see that product online in store. So the whole omni-channel of trying it at home via AR or trying a similar frame in store if we don't have it on AR in our stores itself, that's really now taking off. So I don't think this is something that is kind of like just being like, maybe you're referring to Adidas, which is kind of, it still hasn't taken off. For us, this is very much part of how our customers are buying now online.
Sure.
And we've seen a huge impact. And I think now we're literally, as we speak in the process, we're now quite aggressively rolling out this in all of our stores.
Thanks, Oliver. That's interesting. I appreciate your point. Avnish?
See, in our case, Sandeep, there are a couple of things which we have to consider first. One is that, in a lot of these cases, these technologies work when there has to be a lot of data available to feed the system, and then it starts to work for you, right? In our case, I think in a lot of use cases, we have not got that kind of data because some of the efforts which you have not been so successful. At the same time, it's also important to when you go to a store, which is equally important, and it's not just a rational purchase where you just go and you pick it up because it just serves a function need for you. So a lot of that experience cannot be replicated through whatever technology is available today. I don't think the technology has reached a level that the joy of looking at the jewelry and buying it can be completely replaced. Some parts of the journey, yes, but I think there's a long way for the technology to go before it can reach that level, at least in jewelry. Jewelry is also a very hard category because the shape, the size, there's no standardization, the language is also not standardized. So it's a harder problem to solve. So that's one of the challenges over there. At the same time, I think there are a lot of other processes, like in supply chain, in digital marketing, in again, the way you personalize some of the experiences for the journey, right? The small nudges which you put for every customer. Those are places where there's a lot of, I would not call it AI yet, but yeah, there's a lot of data science and machine learning which is being used, which is starting to prove very effective for us. And there are other areas where we are still trying, right? Because the technology also keeps changing. So you're aware of the problems and you just have to keep trying if the technology has reached a level where the solutions can now be effective for you. So I don't think we are using AR, VR and AI as much as some of the other verticals, but there are other areas where it's being used. And I think it's possibly a matter of a few more years before the technology will reach a level where we can use it in more customer facing applications.
Wonderful, Avnish. Thank you so much, both of you. So just to conclude, I think for many of the participants and viewers, I'm sure it's been a very interesting conversation on a tech-based companies which have changed the business model, or if I say use the word, it changed the rules of the game of the industry like eyewear and jewelry. And fortunately, Oliver, I've been part of Titan, so I'm familiar with the eyewear business to a certain extent from an outside view. But I've been very closely associated with CaratLane, so I'm very close to the jewelry business. So coincidentally, I happen to know to a certain extent the industry challenges and business. But I can appreciate the kind of work you guys have done in making this phenomenal success. I mean, I can tell you, Oliver, when I was in Titan, I used to watch Titan for 15 years. I've been with them, watching eyewear business. And suddenly one new babe in the woods comes and he just, completely in front of our eyes, we saw that Lenskart taking away, just certainly becoming a huge player, among the largest players today in the market. So, and all tech-based, that's the best part is, in this Indian market, where retailing is still is infancy, I believe is infancy, because it's 15 years old of mall environment in India and that to large cities. And in this and very traditional categories like eyewear and jewelry, you guys have used tech to build these models and so successfully and sustainably, and showing results so phenomenally in the last 6 to 10 years in the marketplace. It's just amazing. And unfortunately, time is not enough. We would surely people would like to hear more from you guys on how you've built these businesses in these difficult times and managing that even in today's environment. So just to summarize, if I can do, the important takeaways which one saw here was clearly the way Avnish articulated in terms of how you look at tech not as a product by itself. You don't romance the product of tech, You have to take the tech is it's an enabler. It's not an end by itself, and that's what most companies do. Is you want these fancy technologies to just to apply and say I've done a great job, where people's minds are still sitting in the old tradition, and you want to enforce. Therefore, this business-oriented tech solutions or a problem solution for which you need a tech are very important takeaways. And it's not a fashion statement to say I use AR VR unless you have the use for it. Therefore, second, very important piece, a retailer, which Avnish mentioned, was, you know, just focusing on conversion. I mean, it's an amazing, simple statement to say, whatever we work on converting my customers to a purchase. And everybody works in that direction. That's an amazing simplicity that you build your entire technology or your solution problems. And, Oliver's view of, speed of execution, that internal app in 4 days and making it come as a new business model. It's a new channel of sales and using your sales staff, like an online, call center based selling system itself is a new opportunity that a company like yours can think of. And that's how the mindset of people in the organization are critically important before you look at tech by itself. Uh, Even other technologies you mentioned, things like, business back-end technology intervention, like Avnish, you mentioned that the supply chain, the inventory management, vendor management, even there, technology is very critical to run your businesses. Without them, there is no product, there is no customer satisfaction. The other part takeaway was the customers are not different. They are different need states, and some do buy for different reasons. And some of these technology is a journey by itself. It is not the customer is different. It's that this journey to acquiring the product is different. Some start and it's all today's time. I believe 70, 80, 90% of search is happening on digital platform, and then thereafter they go and find the avenues for converting that information to sale. But there is both ways: the customer journey for the need state, as well as convenience, as well as current COVID-like environment forces people to use some of these technologies and builds difference in that flexibility in operation, how digital is really seen. And the last part you mentioned that future AR and ML are being used for sure. There's no question, and Lenskart is using AR far more effectively and showing results in terms of ROIs. And like Abhi said, you need data points to milk this technologies better, and therefore once you have rich data, then using the right technologies to use it for solutions to your business problems would probably the way to go about shaping your business in the future. So Oliver and Avnish, thank you so much for your wonderful time and spent on the platform on this entire show, and I'm sure viewers would love to spend more time with you. But I think there are two questions. I think Oliver, we shared one is the expansion plan of is one question which you will answer. The second question is for both of you. The question somebody asked is, what is more important? It comes into Avnish, your statement you made. What is more important, technology or people? So we'll take your views on that second question later. But Oliver, you would like to react to that question as what's the expansion plan for Lenskart? Oliver, you're in mute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, so COVID is actually not slowing us down, it's speeding us up. So we're looking to open around 300 stores this year. We've already got over 100 locations signed and sealed. We are planning to do 40 to 50 stores a month from November, December onwards. So we are go, go, go. For us, this is a fantastic time to expand. There are many great opportunities being offered to us in some great locations that maybe we would never have got to in the past. We're seeing rents have come down in some markets, not all. So for us, this is a great opportunity to gain market share by opening more stores.
Interesting.
So yes, we're really going for it.
Wonderful. That's great optimism. Thanks, Oliver. We need that. Every business needs that optimism in today's context. And I'm sure CaratLane is no different. But this question is, Oliver, to continue this question that somebody asked, what is more important? The tech piece or the people piece in today's time onwards, not today as in COVID, but post-COVID too. How do you see this question?
I'd say the first way of answering that is the customer is the most important. To help the customer, I would say the technology. I think for us, we spend probably more time working out how can we put a technology angle to everything. Because I think as the business expands, you need to rely more and more on technology to help you do simple things as opposed to people. So whether it's training, whether it's how we communicate our prices to our customers in stores, right the way through to how we do orders and back end, everything has to have a technology angle for it to become even more efficient, simpler, basically simpler, better, cheaper. So for us, obviously, from my point of view, I'd say technology is the most important thing, particularly when you scale at speed.
Thank you, Arif, for that. Avnish?
So I'll answer the first question first, Sandeep, that, we are actually taking everything month by month. When the COVID first started, things were very bleak and the outlook also looked very bleak initially. But the recovery has been very good. And therefore, we keep monitoring that and revising our plans. So obviously, if I compare what things look like in March or April or May, things look much better. We have also been opening stores, not at the same rate as Lenskart, but yeah, we are. So the plans keep getting revised as the situation is changing, Sandeep. So I think that right now we are only looking at the next couple of months, not looking at beyond that, because it's a very fluid situation, right? Things can just change very quickly, and so we don't want to look beyond that right now. Work was obviously on all the possible areas, including store expansion as well as international expansion. So we are now starting to really expand our international footprint as well. So now we have 6 countries. We just started Singapore and Dubai. So that is also going well. That actually seems to be less affected by COVID for some reason. So that's, I think, but like I said, right, it's I would say we're a little more pragmatic right now on that front, monitoring the situation and then changing plans accordingly. On the second part, I think, at least for us, right, because I think jewelry is also a more experiential category that we can't do without people. I think till, at least in this country, the buying part, like I said, right, there's a joy in that, which I don't think technology is there yet to do it in the way a human being can. But obviously there are a lot of other parts where technology just makes you, it makes it more consistent. It helps you scale. There are less errors. So, and also to use technology well, you need people who know the problem and the business really well. So I would say that technology and people have to complement each other really well, and one can't do without the other in that sense, at least in our category.
Well said, both of you, and both are valid points in this statement. And one can only submit that if you look at the way you've answered, I think there are some emotional categories. Jewelry comes in an emotional category, whereas eyewear is a functional category. To the extent, therefore, technology can, drive the point Oliver mentioned, drive speed of growth with technology on a platform much faster. Whereas jewelry is more people and touch and feel and sentiments and emotions and purpose of purchase is all, too much of ethos around it. So therefore, I guess some technology and people are equally important. So I guess that's the answer to the question. So many of you participants will have to pick your answers in such background as to what kind of company you are, what kind of categories, and how consumers see the category, and thereby build your focus on people or technology or balance it or whatever. So once again, perfect timing. We've completed 40 minutes of our conversation. With once again, I'd like to thank Oliver, Avnish for sparing your valuable time. I know you're in challenging situation, but you guys are managing it brilliantly, and what I can see your future is extremely bright and promising. And I think it'll give a lot of optimism, I think, to all the viewers about where you see the business, and therefore it'll rub off on the entire Indian economy. So thank you very much for your time, and best wishes to everyone, all the participants. Thank you so very much to be part of the show, and I'm sure you enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Right.
All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
for your
Sandeep.
time.
A pleasure.
Thanks. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.